I believe that it's something that we should do. All of us become prepared. By the way, we're all survivalists. We all want to live. How many times have you come home from work and when there was a big layoff and you weren't part of it and you told your wife or you told your spouse, oh, I survived another layoff, or I survived another trip home in the commuting traffic. You know, we all are survivors, and so I'm not putting it down at all. But survivors are considered to be hardcore as opposed to preppers who understand that they're not going to build a bunker, they're not going to defend it with a rifle or a gun of any kind. They're just going to try to live as best they can in peace with the rest of the world. But getting back to what someone said a while ago, preparedness requires a community. You've got to have friends and neighbors that you can trust who have the same kinds of goals and standards you have, who will be able to work together, maybe with a community garden. Somebody has more property than another, or somebody has a backyard that doesn't have shade. What you learn to do is in a community, and a family is a small community. 2 families is a little larger community. A neighborhood or block organization is another size of community. We need to be more community-oriented, and we need to organize at a community level. That's an absolute truth. Whoever brought it up, thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
That is the best thing I've heard all night, because no man is an island. And there's so many people out there planning to bunker down in their basement. And the wisest people I know, it's simply, if this whole thing goes down to its worst capacity, you need to be friends with your neighbors, and you need to branch out, and you need to make your community bigger and bigger and bigger, or this country is absolutely doomed to whatever it is.
Hey, first Henning, and then Henning after you. John, would you guys respond to that? Go ahead, Henning.
Speak now?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
When we come to that one, Joe, he talks about the community and also the other guy. Sorry, I can't remember your name. I'm not good with names.
Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, Pepper, yeah. It also is very, very important in a country where we are divided by race so much where they are, that we set those indifferences aside when it comes to that. We need to depend on each other, and we need to stand together because we are all in the same boat. There's no difference if you are Asian, you are black, you are white, or whatever you are. We are all in the same mix. So we need really, really there to stand up for being humans and not being racial in this issue. That is very important, or else we will fight amongst each other instead of standing together. Eventually, there will be something in front of us we need to deal with.
Go ahead, John. What about you? John, are you there?
More than a dozen times to explain to my wife, ooh, I just missed this one. We're going to survive for another paycheck. So I know exactly what you're talking about. On that line, there are a lot of 99ers that are now have no income coming in, and they're selling out, and they're running out of their 401ks. I saw a video on YouTube that they were protesting out in front of Wall Street. More and more people will be losing their unemployment checks every week from now on. Those people are going to be getting desperate. The question is, how long before they do get desperate, and how desperate will they get? And we all have to make that choice when they come knocking at your door. You knew this was coming. Do you hand them something to eat and risk an altercation, or do you turn them away? And if they rob you, you must make that ultimate choice, one that once made you can never take back. And there is a difference, ladies and gentlemen, from having to make that choice at an adult rather than a 12-year-old. Everybody got a lot of soul searching to do.
That's right. That's right, John. You know something? It's a good point. Russia Today was the one that came out with that news report about the 99ers going out to Wall Street and protesting. There were about 100 of them that went down there, and these people literally have already gone through everything they have. And it's a sad state of affairs. I mean, really, when you think about it. And Griff, you don't foresee that it's going to get any better, do you?
No, I don't. I think you'll have a total breakdown of society at some point in the future. Your police, your so-called law enforcement. I have to grit my teeth when I say law enforcement. I think most of the laws are not very just, and they're enforcing that against the people. But the police will not be there. They will be protecting their families and their wives and children. So if you live in cities, I think it's going to happen first in cities, and then it'll go to communities outside in the country. If you live by yourself out in the country and they come after you, you are gone, unless you maybe have a Thompson submachine gun that can protect your family. In the cities, you're going to have gangs roving. There are many gangs here in Richmond, Virginia, that the police stay away from now. They don't want to go into their neighborhoods because of the danger. Now, you take away the welfare checks, and you're going to have thousands and thousands of people in gangs coming at you and at your wealth and at your food supplies, and you have no alternative. There's no one to call. If your neighbors get hungry enough, they will turn on you. You have to be very, very selective, and I don't know how you do that. Who you pull into your group, into your family.
Trust is going to be a very, very hard commodity to come and find when all's said and done. Hey, Andrew, what do you think about that? I mean, you being in a metropolitan area, what's your plan as far as that's concerned?
Well, I'm not going to be here. But AC brought up an interesting point, and I have a totally different viewpoint on the street gangs. And this does go into chaos theory a little bit and the law of unintended consequences. Give me just a minute here, but if you're in a metro area, I mean, you're going to be done for, because the best people it's a basic rule. There's 3 days of food in a city in every house and grocery store, and when a human being goes for 3 days without food, they will be more dangerous than a rabid wolverine. In most cases, if they're not a very intellectual, very in tune with spirituality type of person, they're going to be dangerous. So you have 6 days in a metropolitan area, and I would say just the street gangs are better organized and have better weapons, but even your neighbor, and I live in Bethesda, Maryland, your rich neighbor will come out and try to eat you after about 6 days once they're hungry. But to go back to what AC said about these street gangs, and I'm just going from my experience with psychological warfare and war itself, I see the street gangs have been sending their people into military training for years now, for almost 20. And they've become more organized, more disciplined, and everything else. But the unintended consequence of it, whether they're doing this to improve their gang or not, is that they do develop a new sense of loyalty to the country. They develop a new honor code. And the military bit has now blended itself in with the street gangs. And though I would not trust them further than I could throw them right off the cuff in a dangerous situation, as for my job in the military, if I were with, say, a militia, and everybody associates gangs with, black racism and militia with white racism. If I were with a white militia, I would gladly walk into a gang neighborhood unarmed with my hands up and say, I need to speak to the leadership here. We can help you out. You can help us out. And they might actually be an asset. But back to your original question of a metro area, if this is just going to be an economic collapse here in the United States, and we're sure heading that way, anybody that's in the know is going to have at least a week's time to get out, and I will certainly do that. I've got several places to go, but I will not be in a metro area when this happens.
Right. And I mean, this kind of holds true about the Gulf region. People have to understand that your ties there aren't as strong as you may think they are. And it may be in your best interest, and I'm not telling you what to do at all, but it may be in your best interest to think about relocating as soon as possible, because we don't know what's going on. But I can tell you this, that area down there where they're conducting their operations is still a no-fly zone. It's still a media blackout, and even more so now than before, because they are telling everybody that, problem solved, nothing to see here, folks. We'll even scale back the cleanup effort. When we have whistleblowers coming out all over the place saying that, here they are trying to pick up the oil on the beach, and they dig down a little bit with their shovel, and there's a ton of oil